So let's start with understanding what is Oracle Fusion applications. Okay. What do we do and what is it and what are the things that are involved in it? So these are some of the things that we'll be talking about. So let's start with seeing that, Fusion is actually a ERP application. What does ERP stand for? Enterprise Resource Planning. So anything that you need to run an organization, anything that you need for the proper functioning of the enterprise is part of this product. So be it finance, HR, CRM, supply chain, manufacturing, projects, doesn't matter. It can be anything. And there is a workflow that runs across which takes the information from one part of the application to another or from one user to another user. It's like you can say the email of Fusion. All right. Now, within the Fusion application, we call it the suite. Suite is a collection of modules. There are over 100 plus modules which collectively are known as Fusion applications. So whether it is finance, HR, supply chain, projects, procurement, CRM, compliance, risk management, anything, okay, including the database behind the scene, the security that rides on top of it, so that only authorized people are able to access it. All that is part and parcel of Fusion application. Okay. Now, out of these, in our sessions over the next couple of weeks, we'll be focusing on a small piece of it, the HR and finance primarily, along with that, the technical things that go with it. Now, before we go further, let us understand, you might have heard of these terms. One is called as on-prem. It is like your laptop or your desktop that you have at home, right? So you are responsible for the proper upkeep of the application of the laptop or desktop of the machine. Any updates that you do, you have to maintain it. If it runs out of space, you have to enhance the space. So you are responsible for everything, right? Compare that with something like a Gmail or Yahoo, where all that you need is a user ID and password, which is just this software as a service. So you have the software, which is the Fusion software, which is deployed at the backend. There is a server where it is deployed, and all of us can connect to the application through a user ID. You will have a user ID, you will have a unique user ID and a unique user ID password, through which you will be able to interact with the application. Of course, there will be different security rules enabled so that not everybody has access to every part of the application. Only some people will have access to some parts of the application or whatever they need. So the HR person will have access to the HR records, finance person will have access to the finance records, supply chain people will get access to the supply chain pieces of the application, and so on. All right. In between, there are two layers. One is IaaS and the other is PaaS, as it is commonly called. Infrastructure as a service means the service provider or the vendor is giving only the infrastructure for rent. Okay, rest of it, you need to decide what middleware, what operating system, what data you want to put, where you want to put that data, what type of applications you want to run. This is something similar to what we see as AWS or the Azure, where they are providing us only the servers, storage, networking, only the connection piece. Rest of it, whether you need a cloud, whether you need a database or you want to deploy a website or you want to deploy HTML pages, it's up to you. So that's the infrastructure as a service. Compare that with platform as a service, where they are also providing the operating system and the middleware. And at runtime, when you are accessing the application, all that you need to do is just deploy applications that you need, that you have, and the data that you are going to put inside the application. Okay. Anyone got any question? The one in orange means others are managing it. In case of SaaS, in case of Fusion, it is Oracle that is maintaining, that is responsible for managing the application. Whereas in case of on-premises, you are responsible for it. Earlier, in the morning session, I was telling you about e-business suite or all those other products. Those were primarily on-prem applications. Okay. Anybody got any question on these? Okay. Silence, I take it as a no. Next. A little bit about the history of Fusion. Fusion, till around 2002, Oracle owned Oracle Application or EBS. Then Oracle Corporation acquired PeopleSoft, which had already procured JD Edwards. Oracle Corp next acquired Siebel ERP. So by 2005, it had 4 of the top 5 ERP products in the market. Okay, and it then came up with a plan to merge all the 4 products into a new product called Fusion, taking the best features from each of the products. It launched Fusion application around 2009-10, and since then, Fusion has been on the upside. We have been seeing a lot of interest in Fusion, a lot of customers have implemented Fusion, and it's like I said in the morning, it's one of the hottest skills in the market. It has 2 mode of implementation. One is on-premises and the other is cloud or SaaS. So in case of on-prem, company the company is responsible for maintaining the data, database, application, software updates, everything. Okay. So whenever a new release happens from Oracle side, they are responsible for it. Whenever a new product comes in, they are responsible for it. Whenever a new changes happen in the database, they are responsible for it. Okay. So all this is the responsibility of the customer when it comes to on-premise. Whereas in case of the SaaS or the cloud, they don't need to worry about updates. They don't need to worry about any upgrades that are happening, any patches that need to be applied, any backups that need to be done, database not working or database not functioning. All that is the headache of Oracle. All right. Now, what the product offers is there is a global core application, you can say, the core product. At the heart of the product, they have the main database and the application and all the details. On top of it, they have the different cultural processes, that statutory rules, the local reporting that happens, all of them are taken care of by the application. So for example, if you go to China or you go to Japan, then there could be certain local requirements. For example, in Japan, most companies store the names of the employees in two scripts. One is called kana, another is called kanji. Okay, so that is part of your cultural or the local reporting that needs to be provided. Statutory rules, like in India, we have GST and all. So that has to be catered to by the application. So that's part of the statutory rules that go into the application. So these configurations will have to be built during the implementation stage. So your question could be, if everything is there, what are you guys going to do? There's no work, right? But it's not that. It is like the application comes in a one size fits all. So it is like a size 44 shirt that you buy from the shop, and then you have to fit it to your body physique. Okay. So that is what we do in the implementation. So when it comes to the implementation options, like I have said, there are primarily two options. One is on-prem, another one is cloud or SaaS. What's the difference between the two? In case of on-premises, customer owns the software, infrastructure, maintenance. Future sizing requirements is the headache of the customer. So they always have to estimate how much of space they need, when and how they need to, how much of space is being used. If the space is getting filled, they need to get a replacement. It is their headache. So they are responsible for maintenance, upgrade, and all of it. So obviously, as you can see, there's a requirement as far as infrastructure is concerned. There's a requirement in case of upgrades. So only large companies can afford to do an on-prem implementation. Okay, because they need to maintain a team of their own. They need to do, who knows how to do all this, who knows what has to be done. The cloud or SaaS, customer only pays for the software user licenses. So they have flexibility to acquire licenses in future. So today you have 10 users, you pay for 10 users. Tomorrow you have 50 users, you pay for 50 users. So there's no headache of infrastructure and maintenance. You have small and mid-sized companies can adopt it. So this cloud and SaaS, usually you will see medium, small, medium, and medium to large customers using it. There are a lot of large customers also who are using it, primarily because the maintenance and headache is far less. So this was our traditional on-premise model where you had access to the database. You could use your SQL, PLSQL like you have learned. You could connect to the database and create tables, create views, and do, write procedures, packages, and do all the programming that you want. So you could do a lot of data manipulation. All right. Now, Oracle, this was usually 8i, 9i, 10G, 11G, and how now it has 12C cloud and all. So all that has been happening. Okay. Now this we would call as a three-tier architecture, where you have the user connecting over the browsers, Mozilla or Internet or the Chrome or the Explorer, Safari and all that. And then intermediate, there would be an application layer where all the applications would reside, where the tools, and through the tools, you would connect to the database. Whereas in cloud, it is something like this. There's a Fusion database, and in the same database, the data for enterprise ABC is residing. All you can do is you have to use standard tools provided by Oracle. You cannot run a script of your own. You cannot create a package. You cannot create a table. You cannot create a view. You cannot update the data directly as per whatever you want. Okay. There are only standard rules that are there, standard tools which are there, or you can say standard interfaces that have been provided by Oracle, which helps you to connect to the database. Is this clear, everyone?
Yes.
Others?
Yes.
Okay. So software options. So when we do decide, when we are, when the companies, they are shopping for which software to use, which software to procure, and then they have primarily two options. One is going for the standard off the shelf ERP and custom solution, or a custom solution. That means you create the product as per your need. Now, in case of standard off the shelf ERP like Fusion or SAP or any of these other products, they all follow uniform rules based on global processes. There is less scope for customization, so it is far easy to implement as less time is required. And it's a relatively cheaper option than the custom solution. Custom solution, on the other hand, the requirement decisions take a long time to agree. Building the software takes time. Testing is very crucial. If changes happen to your processes, or changes happen to your, how you are doing your transactions, then there could be a possible software changes. So redesign may be required. It's not very flexible. Naturally, there's a huge cost associated with doing a custom solution. So we, or most companies, choose to do off the shelf ERP, which is the Fusion SaaS. Now, when it comes to the implementation approach, largely we have two implementation approaches that we call as configuration and customization. Configuration means we use the standard features of the ERP product, and we fit the customer requirements to the product features. This is also known as vanilla implementation. So here we are using the standard features of the ERP product. We fit the customer requirements to the product features, and we do the vanilla implementation. In case of customization, the means case making changes to the code given by the ERP vendor. It is a risky approach as future updates can wipe out customized changes. It is a costly affair. So in Fusion, actually, customization is very, very limited. All you can do is just do some reports or some dashboards, and that's it. You can't do any form or screen level customizations. You can only do configuration, and you can add new fields. You can add new what we call as the flex fields. You can do those things in the application. Okay. Now, in all the implementations that we do, we follow a particular methodology. It is also called as the application implementation methodology. It is a new end-to-end implementation or module add-ons in existing implementations or upgradations to new versions. So what the methodology does is it gives you a series of steps that you're supposed to follow in order to do a successful implementation. So you have things like schedules, deliverables, quality management. All these things are part and parcel of the project management that takes place. You have requirement analysis. You have solution function design. Right from the name, you can make out any customization developments that have to be done, data migration, writing of scripts. Then we do conference room pilot, which is like a demo of the application. We do comprehensive user training. Then we do the production instance setup and deployment. Okay. So let's look at a plan and see how it looks like. Usually the entire thing is roughly around 6 to 7 months, depending on the size and scale of the project. Okay. So the steps are like let's say sometime in end of October, we are starting with kickoff. We do the analysis followed by the kickoff. Kickoff is the formal start of the project where all the key stakeholders, all the biggies from the customer and the implementation partner, they meet, they shake hands and they say, okay, let's get started. Then we have the analysis. It starts with the analysis. We first need to study and understand the customer's processes. Solution build. Solution build is where we have the solution being configured in the system. So you might have more than one CRP, CRP1, CRP2, to demonstrate to the users how the application is going to look once it goes live. Whatever feedback they have, they might say, no, this is not how we do it. These are the values required, or this is how we do it. You need to change the name of this field and that field and all that. So all those responses are recorded and addressed as part of the solution build. If required, there might be another CRP, post which we'll go for custom development. In parallel, there could be some custom development like reports or data migration or any extracts that need to be done, HDL scripts, FBDI, all these will come under the custom track. Any data cleansing, data migration activities will also need to be budgeted here. And then we have the change procedures and the training for the same. When a system is going live, we need to train the users how to use the application. All right. After that, we go live. So if we start in September, probably by February, March, we should be done. Or if you are starting from October, it would probably be March, April by when you would be done. Okay. Anyone, any question on this? No questions? Okay. Typically, these are some of the deliverable documents that are created during the implementation stage. Requirements gathering, these all things that we do are recorded in an application, in a document, and sent across to the customer for verification. Once they approve, after that, we go ahead with the solution. So, or with the documentation that is there. So there would be like a requirements document, an as is document, or a to be document, function, business function documents, okay? Gap analysis, any gaps that happen, user acceptance testing, any go live documentation that needs to be there. So all these are prepared based on requirements. They might change over a period of time. They might change based on the scenario or the customer saying that, no, we don't need this. We already have done this, or we don't want to do this. Okay. So these are the common documents that are usually created during the implementation. Now, these are typical services that are offered around the Fusion stack, around the Fusion product. Consulting, customization, support, implementation, upgrade, any special offerings that happen. All of these are part and parcel of the offerings that are provided to customers around this space.